the intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
Julian Bashir. That's who we're talking about. And that is, in my opinion, maybe the best officer of this month, even though there's good ones out there. I mean, we normally would focus on epics and say, hey, epics were the best. But I think coming into December, expectations are going to be more on what can they do for me now and how early or how quickly are they effective. And one thing about Odo was, we'll talk about Odo specifically in Odo's thing, but Odo is good immediately. But one of the drawbacks to Odo is, and this is going to be common for any epic, you got to really tear him up or you lose stats. Well, the benefit of going after some rares and, having multiple that are effective immediately is we can level them up quicker because they take less shards. So as you can see, I've got Julian Bashir here at tier 2 for this video, but only need 100 shards to get him to tier 3 total. And we'll go over the scaling process and everything. So rares naturally for a free-to-play or a light spender can be more advantageous than epics. That doesn't even account the abilities. Abilities obviously matter. But if you look at the set for December 2022 that Julian Bashir came out with, and again, this isn't trying to say that Julian Bashir is like OP and Odo and Dax are terrible. They're not. But for example, you look at Odo, his critical hit damage bonus as a below deck ability is really good, but does it provide a lot at tier 1? Not a tremendous amount. And then his officer ability is okay. It's not amazing. It's okay. You look at Jadzia Dax, who actually can do a lot with the piercing bonus as a captain, but that would probably you be running a second crew. Like maybe you're running Jadzia Dax and Julian Bashir on the side. But most people already have Cisco Miles as like a staple. So then you look at her officer ability and hey, it actually is pretty good. We're used to running these attack type bonuses, but is it better than like the Eurydice combo when shields drop, we get a bonus? And, it's one of those where good, but was it something that was like game changing? Was it something that really helped elevate your game to another level? And I'll mention Eurydice. Let me show her real quick. The Delta Quadrant, that's the shield regen. The one I was actually referring to was going back over and talking about mud. And I can never remember which, no, wait, not 8 ways to die mud. It's the other mud. Down but never out. See, this is the issue. Trying to remember which mud is who. Skinny mud versus big mud. But Skinny Mo was who I was referencing. I want to fix that in the video before I said it. So the reason I'm so high on Julian Bashir is y'all know one of the biggest things that I talk about in the game is critical builds. And if you've watched my Solo Armada videos already, unless you're running the pure loot crew, I'm building you around the whole idea of criticals. And even in the loot crew, we're still kind of doing criticals. Well, that's exactly what he does. The only negative I had to say about Julian Bashir is he only works for Solo Armadas, but his officer ability is critical. It is an amazing addition to your Solo Armada grind, which in my opinion is the best Armadas in the game. And in my opinion, the best feature added in a while. In fact, let me know if you agree. So let's talk about what makes Julian Bashir so good. As you can see, increases critical hit chance by 25% against Solo Armadas. I also want to point out that his primary stat is health. Not only is this good for away teams, but several officers that we use all the time use that as a primary factor. For example, 5 of 11 is one that we use all the time, that you would benefit from having more health. So an officer that stacks that, obviously very useful. Now let's look at the overall scaling of Bashir by level. This is of course STFC out of space. Thank you for Ripper for putting that together. So the captain's ability, which I'm not focused on too much, increases critical hit damage, which is good, but I'm never going to replace like, Cisco with Bashir, but still not a bad ability. I mean, I really feel like Julian Bashir is an epic level officer who happens to be a rare, which is one of the reasons I'm so excited about him. And you'll see he starts off at 50% with max energy, a 100% bonus. Pretty significant, even in today's game, with power creep being something we worry about. That actually is pretty good. And then the officer ability right here, this set here, look at that far right of your screen. This is, in my opinion, this is what deserves the big like. And I know I'm throwing up the like right over it, but starts at 20%, 25, 35, 45, and 60% critical hit chance against Solo Armadas. This is a static, so it's not as good as the cumulative build of Cisco, but what it does is it gives you a third critical officer that has a primary stat you use every build to give you more critical hit chance. Now, how does that actually work out long-term in your game? Well, I want to actually use myself as reference. And this is, we've been doing a lot of Solo Armada videos. So I actually want to show you, this is me. Oh, look at that. Oh, look at that face. First of all, chubby face. Nice little chubby bunny going on. But second of all, this is me going against a 48 Jemadar flagship at level 44. Now, keep in mind, I am one level higher. And you'll notice in my Valdor, I have more research, so my Valdor is much bigger, even though it's the exact same tier. But the primary thing here is I got mollywopped. You look over the far right screen, that is 86 million health still left on that Jemadar flagship. When I tried that, when this came out, this is actually in October. This is only 2 months ago. It's crazy how much can happen. But this is with a tier 8 auger, a maxed enterprise, and a Valdor at tier 5. Didn't even come close, just barely scratched it, go boom. Now, moving on to another example. Let's just go right to another one. Transition. This is me again. Boom, look at that Rev Deuce guy. This is me beating a 46, but barely. You can see the Valdor's gotten bigger because of research, especially those Bajoran researches, those favors. Then now I have the Katinga, the thing I wanted so much. It replaced my auger. And then I added the Defiant replacing the Enterprise. Now, the Defiant honestly is not performing as well as the Enterprise in this particular instance in the background, but I used it because what I wanted ultimately was the bonus the Defiant gives me when it comes to the loot and the edicts. That was actually more important, so that's what I focused on. Now, my Defiant is a little bit stronger now. You can see right back there, 3.3 million power. It's okay. It's okay. But transition out, I want to show you my log from today. Now, here is going to be a log where you go, well, that's got to be the Defiant because the Defiant is now 6 million. It's not the Defiant. Now, the Defiant does a good job here. The Defiant actually lasts longer than you probably think, but here I am easily winning against the 48 with my Valdor keeping 90% of its health. The Katinga goes down to about 20%. The Defiant goes poof. But the biggest difference is how I loaded out the Defiant, particularly with our man, Julian Bashir. Now, keep in mind, my Defiant is not the tier that it should be for my level. If you remember the scaling of the Defiant, I should have a tier 6 one. Like that's kind of like the level range they gave me to, or the game gives me, that is, in terms of what's good. Like this is what you should be at as you're leveling up. So if you got the Defiant during the entire process, like you start at level 35, as you scale up, it'll feel a lot better. Like the Defiant will like be your level. For everybody else who's kind of playing catch up, well, you're playing catch up. Like you feel like you're a little bit behind when it comes to the Defiant. So for those who don't remember the range, I'll throw it up real quick on the screen because I'm almost to where I need a tier 7. But this is the Defiant's range. So at level 44, I can be up to a tier 6. Well, this is a tier 5 Defiant. It's actually level 42 players Defiant. And if you remember, one of the things that we want to do for a Solo Armada is you want to be able to defeat at least the one appropriate to your level. So if you're a 42, you want to at least be, fighting 42, 43 Armadas. I'm a level 45, and now I'm easily being a 48. The biggest real difference for me is how I'm able to punch now, thanks to Julian Bashir, giving me criticals in a third critical build. Now, why do I care so much about it being a third critical build? It comes down to remembering how the math of the game works with criticals. So to determine damage on a ship, what you're going to do, and I'll pull up an actual ship's weapons because we haven't done this in a while. So you're going to go into your little weapons screen, pick one of the weapons, and you'll see min-max damage. That's before all your research, blah, 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 all your officer bonuses, etc. And you're going to take that. That is what you would deal if you just had nothing in existence. Like there was nothing there. No research, no officers, nothing. That's your minimum and your maximum. Now what you'll do from that is you'll take your base bonus, and then you'll take your officer attack bonus. You'll take all the research that deals with weapon, damage production, anything that's an Armada research, exocomps, etc. And that's going to become a multiplier. So let's just say you got a, 800%. You're going to multiply all that on top of that, and that gives you damage. And what makes criticals so important in this game is criticals are a multiplier on top of that. So after you've gone from your min-max, applied all your bonuses, and reached your damage. So let's just say that that's 600,000 damage for my Enterprise. Now I'm going to multiply it by hitting a critical of 2.9. Because that's what criticals do, is it's a multiplier after you've calculated damage. But wait, it doesn't stop there, because remember, one of the things that we always want to push is hull breach. Why is hull breach so important? Because its background effect is another multiplier on top of critical. Think of it being a critical on a critical. So what you end up having is when I run the Katinga with Cisco, Miles O'Brien, and Lorca, hull breach is active, which means all 3 of my ships now that are hitting criticals are not only getting that critical bonus, they're getting another bonus on top of that. greatly increasing the amount of damage I'm, putting out. So my Valdor, 5, 6, Khan. Well, Khan is my critical officer there. Cisco, Miles O'Brien Lorca. Cisco is my critical officer there. Remember, his officer ability is a cumulative every round increase. And then the Defiant now is Julian Bashir, increases critical hit chance by 25% at tier 2. So if we jump into this battle law that goes 17 rounds, we're going to see criticals, Hull Breach being active there. And when we see a critical, big booms. Katinga hitting 1.1. The Valdor, I think, depending on which gun, should be hitting around 5. There's the Defiant hitting 1 mil shots and Valdor 4.6. So as this happens, you're just getting more and more power as the criticals just build and build and build. And one of the things, if you remember, I talked about these Jemadar ships. The reason that these warships are so strong is because, and we talk about this a lot in Discord, the whole health they have, the mitigation stats they have. I'm completely overwhelming those defenses. And when I was unable to beat these before, literally not that long ago, we're talking that the second video I put out, this vlog, this was literally 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks, that's not a long time, y'all. All I did is I went from the loot crew on the Defiant, switched it up, and added Julian Bashir and just made Beverly captain. So Beverly's already on this one. Like, Beverly is in this log. She's giving you the mitigation, but I did add the shield regen from her being captain. Instead of focusing on loot, I just added Julian Bashir to give critical, and now it combines so well, because if you remember, if you go to your Bajoran faction, and see, this is a good part of the game, but I guess maybe a potential negative. There's so many things happening now that you got to keep up with. But here, let me take this off the screen. Remember, top right, as the Defiant levels up, the quantum torpedoes, this magnetic field optimization, these get stronger, these get better, and this helps make your Defiant better. So you can really start relying on the Defiant to being the big punch that you want it to be. And when it starts hitting criticals and you're getting these bonuses, that is how you're going to have the most success, by really taking advantage of the bonuses that that ship has versus Solos. And Bashir just makes it even better. Now, the only thing I will say is, remember, you have no point in like combining, Cisco with Julian Bashir, because that kind of be counterproductive. They're doing the same thing with their officer abilities. So the importance of Julian Bashir is that Solo Armadas now give you a third critical build, which really amplifies the damage you can create, even if you've got an underpowered Defiant like I currently have at my level. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you get the value of Julian Bashir. And we'll wrap up by putting the Julian Bashir mock-up here on the screen. One of my favorite officers, definitely something I'm going to focus on more, hoping he becomes available more here in the near future. And if you have him and weren't using him, maybe you should be. Probably my favorite officer from December in terms of usability. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Live long and prosper. Stay safe with the Space Cowboys. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next one. That's it. That's oh no, it's probably not the last officer video of the year. We still got a few days.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.